All right, welcome back to another episode of Diary with a Faithful Chad of a Faithful Chad. Um, Today, I wanted to do something a little special, a little unique. This is going to be a video for people trying to understand the veteran mindset and what veterans go through. I myself am a veteran. I served 4.5 years in the Army under Special Operations as a helicopter engine mechanic, and was this close to taking my own life, literally a hair trigger away. And my mission now is to help end veteran suicides. I'm doing that through this journal, as well as my podcast that will be coming out on this channel as well. I had 70 episodes with my previous branding of the podcast, Mind Over Matter. That was tailored towards everybody with a mental health issue, and after about 2 years of running that, I have decided to finally just hone in and go all in on what I care about the most, and it is putting an end to veteran suicides. So the goal of this video is to get people to truly understand the veteran mindset. I don't know how well I'm going to do at explaining it. It's hard for me to understand, and so it's going to be a bit challenging for you all to understand if you are not a veteran. If you are a veteran, I do want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. If you want to give me those, that'd be fantastic. If you want to reach out to me or do anything like that, my Discord will be in the bio. My Twitter is probably the best way to get in contact with me. So without further ado, I guess I'm just going to try and tell you. I don't have any script I'm going off here. I am literally telling you my thoughts and how I've been thinking about this for the past 3.5 years since I got out. So, I guess we'll just start with what I did in the military. So I fixed helicopter engines. After about 4 years, I was getting medically discharged. My goal in life was to stay in the military for 20 years. I didn't have much else to do after high school, didn't do well in college, and all growing up, my grandma, who loved me dearly and who I love dearly, always mentioned joining the military. So that sprung to mind. I ended up joining. I ended up in Special Operations, the best thing that's ever happened to me. And I ended up getting medically discharged. So I flew on a helicopter from Tennessee to Indiana. On the way back, I laid down. As I laid down and woke up, when we got back to Tennessee, my back hurts. I went in for an x-ray. It was a civilian guy. So those of you who don't know, there are contracts that people can get to serve within the military, not in the military. So this was a civilian fella who was at the aid station. Got my x-rays, went back the next day. He said I was fine, so just go get some shoe inserts. So I went that weekend to play hockey, and when I played hockey, I took a puck off the shin in an odd way, and I got a pretty big bruise. So I went in that Monday and was looking for some free ibuprofen instead of paying for it. Went in, I did the vitals and all that fun stuff, and then after about 10 minutes of waiting, I figured something was up. And when I went back to the room with the captain who was in the military, this is important because unless you're in the military, you can't start medical discharge paperwork. So now I'm going back. This is a captain in the military, and when I walk into her room, just again, shins off, trying to get some ibuprofen, walk into the room, she had 3 monitors set up. One was my x-ray, one was the black and white paperwork that said I could not be in the military with scoliosis, and the third was the paperwork she was putting in for me. So I was shook. She told me I can't be in the military anymore. She did the little test on my shin. I said, I'm good to go. Anything else wrong with you, Blazek? I said, no, nothing's wrong with me. And she said, well, I see you got scoliosis. It's like, what? I had no idea I had scoliosis. I got scoliosis? Yeah, you got scoliosis and you cannot be in the military with it. Here's the paperwork that says you can't, and I'm going to push this paperwork through so you can get medically discharged. My life changed almost immediately. I went to my car. I immediately started crying. I didn't know what to do. I was just sitting there for about 15 minutes because about 5 months prior to that, I got divorced at 22. And I just didn't know what to do and thought this was the first case of this. I had no one to really turn to. There's not really a community within the military that knows anything about getting out. because everybody's still in. So I didn't have anyone to ask about getting out. I didn't have anyone to ask about this discharge paperwork. I didn't really have anyone to turn to. So first off, if you're a veteran or anybody in the military watching this and you need someone to talk to about that, please feel free to reach out. But yeah, my life changed. Before all that happened, within a year and a half of joining the military, I ended up in Iraq for about 30 days. After that 30 days, I went to Afghanistan. After about 45 days, I ended up coming home. And then dealing with some marital problems. A year after coming home, I went back overseas to Iraq, and that was about 80 days, and ended up coming home safe and sound. That's when I ended up learning about my divorce, and then again about 5 months later learning about my discharge. So after all that, I ended up coming home, moving home to my parents after about 8 months of them processing the paperwork and me being in limbo. And I moved back home with my parents, which was tough. I was 19. This is a lot of military people do this. They move back home with their parents or move back to wherever they're from. I had a leader that was telling me not to do that and figure something else out, but in the end, I did not listen to him. I moved home with my parents, and it was hard. I was 19 when I left. When I moved back home, I was 23, so my parents weren't used to having a 23-year-old son. They were used to the 19-year-old kid that I used to be, and they didn't have any idea of what I went through. I ended up buying a house and selling it. I ended up going overseas a couple times. I went through special operations training. I did all these things within the military, and they didn't really know anything about it. So when I came home, they were still thinking me as that kid, and I had to sit them down and try to explain what I'm explaining to you all, and it was incredibly challenging. You know, you don't have much time within the military to think about what happened to you. You don't have time to process anything. When I got home from overseas, it was 4 days maybe, and I'm right back to work in the States. There's no time to process anything that happened overseas. There's no time to process anything that's happening at home, really, because you're working 7 a.m. to 5, 6, 7 p.m. if you're lucky, 4 p.m. And yeah, so I tried to explain to my parents what was going on, and I guess I'm just going to try and do the same thing here. So basic training, just to break it down for everybody, they're stripping you from individuality. You need to fit in. It's called dress right dress. You need to fit in and look exactly like the person to the next to you. You need to act exactly like them so that we can better account for what's happening. It's easier to be responsible for 40 people that are the same than it is 40 people that are different. There's no one stepping out of line because everybody's got the same rules. Everybody's wearing the same thing. And everything just became more structured throughout basic, and they were trying to strip me from everything, and the only thing that I kept throughout it all was my smile. Very fortunate that I kept my smile. They did not like it that I was smiling throughout the whole thing, but worked out for me. So I ended up keeping the smile. Just about everything else, I was a completely different person after basic. And I don't know how it is now. That was in 2017, so I'm not too sure how it is now. Actually, exactly 2017, around this time, I showed up to basic training, so that's pretty neat. Just a synchronicity there. And yeah, so anybody who goes through basic, it completely changes you. You wake up 5 a.m., you do physical training, and then you do whatever you have to do that day to learn about the military or learn what you're really how to fit in. So for about 10 weeks, I'm learning how to fit in. And sometimes you just don't. Sometimes you're just not that person that fits in with the crowd, and that's a lot of people that are in basic. So after basic, your mindset's completely shift. I am now an organized person, developed a little bit of OCD because everything's got to be this way, set this way. Everybody's locker is to look the same. Everybody's bed is to look the same. So I turned a little OCD, and that's fine. And I still have that problem to this day. This is 7 years later. I still have a problem with how specific I am with some things versus other things. And my girlfriend just mentioned it recently. You can't let me cook because you got your specific way of cooking whatever meal it is or eating whatever specific thing it is. And I turned really, really specific, and I'm learning to let that go. And it was the same thing with my dresser. It was the same thing with my towel for the shower. It was I was very set in my ways. And when you are first getting out, at least for me, when I was first getting out and after I've gone overseas, I started thinking, government doesn't care about me at all. And any person in the military will tell you the same thing. The government, they don't care about you. They don't care about you one bit. That I was just a number to them. They'll replace me within a week. They'll find a new guy to take my job. I'm simply a number. They don't care about me at all. So anybody in the military currently, go to the aid station. They're not going to care about you. You have to care about yourself. And they did teach me how to do that because I realized this. But I came home and I tried to explain to my parents how abused I felt, how I felt the government used my patriotism against me and used it for their own good. And you get into these conspiracy theories. If I knew now if I knew then what I knew now, sorry, I messed that one up. If I knew then what I knew now, all these conspiracy theories, if you want to call them that, all the facts around the government, everything kind of surrounding the government, especially now, 2017, it wasn't horrible. Trump just got elected, so it wasn't too chaotic yet, but now it's completely chaotic. And if I knew anything, I would not join, but I still think people should join. It's incredible. They're paying for my life. They paid really for all my house. I'm going to school. They're paying for that. They're paying me to go to school. So if you don't know what to do, go to the military. If you get out of high school and have no idea what to do, they'll teach you a lot and you'll learn a lot. And it may not be completely fun, but when you're out, I mean, man, now that I'm out, it was the best thing I could have ever done for myself. But during the 2 years of getting out, the year and a half of getting out, it was tough. And that's all I could really explain it as. It was tough, but now I'm very grateful. But so I came home, so I got a little off track, and I don't have. Maybe you guys can see my ADD or whatever. I'm not diagnosed anything, but I kind of hop all over the place. But got home, moved in, and tried to explain to my parents what I saw, what positions I was in. There was a couple things. I was near death, and I got very used to, especially in Afghanistan bombing, got very used to being close to death and just comfortable being very close to death. And it's not that my adrenaline is completely rushing or anything, but I'm comfortable with bombs going off and us sending bombs and being in a location where we have no defense. So if we were to get bombed, I am completely dead. And being comfortable for 80 days sitting in that type of environment, knowing that I could die at any time, I ended up getting comfortable in that. And I think that's why a lot of suicides happen. You get comfortable with dying. All right, well, it's not that big of a deal. To the normal person, it is a big deal. And I still don't think like a normal person, but when I talk to everyday people, dying is one of their biggest fears. God helps you with that. If you need help, veterans, turn towards God. Even civilians, turn towards God. Start realizing that death could be the beginning of something incredible. And that's how I started. Every night I pray, hey, God, if I die tonight, I appreciate everything you've given to me. And I look forward to meeting you, and I look forward to meeting my grandma up there and everybody who's died in my family, all that. But I started explaining to my parents this, and I started explaining that I went overseas and was a part of an operation to kill people. I did not do any killing myself, but I was a part of something where people were dying. I played a major role in helping the American government achieve what they're trying to achieve. People are dying for it. And that weighed on my conscience a long time. And there's the guy who shot bin Laden. There's a clip that roams around with him talking about, if me and this guy were born in the same continent, in the same area, would we go to the drink or go to the bar, get a drink? Is he a funny fella? Could we talk about things together? Could we discuss the good and bads of our government? Stuff like that. But just because they're born on a different continent, I helped in taking their lives. And that doesn't weigh on me too much now. I've come to terms with that, but that's a veteran thing that we go through. And once you get out, I was overseas with people that I didn't necessarily like. But the bottom line was, if something were to happen, We're there for each other. We've got each other's back. I will die for you. You will die for me. We may not get along even in the slightest. I can't even play a deck of cards with you. But the bottom line is if I got to pick up my gun and take a bullet for you, I will, and they will do the same. And when you get out, there is nowhere else you can find that. The bond you get from experiencing these horrible things together and then coming home safe and sound, that bond you get, you cannot find in the normal world. And I'm getting emotional thinking about it because that's why a lot of veterans take their life. You can't contact the buddies that are still in because they're working, like I said, 7 to 7. They're working all day. They got families to take care of. What's on their mind right now is not me. They've moved on. They've not thought of me. They've got their, and I don't blame them even one bit. I don't blame them because they got their own thing, and I know what life is like when you're working that much and when you've got to focus on your career for your family, and you got to think about how to move up and what school to go to next, and if you want to go to the school, and if you got to deploy soon, if you got to go TDY soon. I know you got to think about all that stuff, but when you get out, there aren't any homies in your hometown. If you don't have a family, I feel very sorry for you because that's what kept me alive. And the goal with my podcast and the community I'm building is to help keep veterans alive because they need that. The everyday person doesn't think about this because a lot of people didn't have this type of community. They didn't have this type of homies that got their back. The level of sacrifice you get in the military versus everyday life is not, it's barely even comparable. This level of sacrifice I got from the homies in the military isn't even comparable to my family sacrifice. It's not even the same. Completely different. And when you get out, you're alone. You feel alone. And it took me a long time to realize I'm not alone. I had to search for the people to talk to. Nobody understands it. They don't understand it because we don't speak up. There's 22 veterans a day who take their own lives. That's 22 people a day who aren't speaking up about this issue. And that's why I feel this is my purpose to be here, is to help spread this message and help everyday people understand what a veteran goes through, because so many don't feel the need to express what they're going through, or don't feel that other people will understand it, so they can't express it because no one's going to understand it anyways. And you're left getting out with no one to talk to, no one to drink with, and drinking's a big problem. So you get out. I mean, everybody in the military, that's what you do, is you drink. And in our unit, we had a refrigerator for when we got off. We all popped a drink open, had a drink, then went home. And that's just what we did. And on the weekends, we just went out and we drank. And you get out and you got no one to go out drinking with. You may end up drinking alone. I kicked this alcoholism before I got out, but this is how a lot of people are dying. Get out, you got no one to drink with. You end up drinking alone. What happens when you drink alone and you know how to use guns and you own guns? You end up taking your own life because simply no one understands it. You don't click on that level. You have such this deep level of understanding and camaraderie with your fellow brothers and sisters in the military, and when you get out, you can't find it anywhere. And the biggest advice I can give to any veteran is find more veterans. Get involved with veteran organizations, because when you're around other veterans, I don't even need to know this man's name, but we have this basic level of respect for each other and this level of sacrifice for each other still, because we miss that now that we're out. And now we start clicking on that level again, and it's like I'm back in the military. But you feel alone at first, and you got no one to talk to at first. And there's no one to share your stories with because no one understands at first. I don't know if anyone will ever really understand the veteran mindset and what I go through, and I hate to keep saying that and keep telling that to other people when they ask me, why do you do this? And it's just what the Army instilled in me. That's just how it is. That's what I don't know how else to explain it. That's what I've been trained to do for years. This is how I've been trained my whole life. Like I was trained to do this. And I joined, and this is a big problem, just a leeway into something else, is I joined because I wanted to put that sacrifice on the line for my family, and it felt good doing it. I wanted to do that. And you get out, you wake up every morning in the military with a purpose. Complete the mission. Do whatever you can to get closer to completing the mission for the better good of America. And you get out and you no longer have that mission. You don't have any mission. When you first get out, your mission is to stay alive. That was my mission every single day, was make it to the next. I didn't have anything to do. I didn't know what to do with my life. My mission simply every single day was to wake up tomorrow and try again and go after it again. And that's really all you can do. And this goes for people that are depressed. Simply, the everyday person that's depressed. Wake up and make it to the next. Wake up, brush my teeth. Take a shower. Hit the gym if I could. Take a walk. But it was my mission went from saving everyday Americans to save myself and make it to the next day. But we're not used to saving ourselves. The way I saved myself before was by serving other people. And now I'm stuck without that mission. So to any veteran, I would say find a new mission that serves more people. Serve someone other than yourself. Because if you try to just serve yourself, it didn't work. I wasn't able to just sit there and try and serve myself. I didn't feel fulfilled. And it felt selfish. That's one of the core beliefs in the military is selfless service. And now we get out and there's nothing I can do for other people yet. There's nothing I have on my mind that I want to do. This was my mission. This is what I was going to do for 20 years, for the rest of my life. And now I'm stuck without it. And it's hard to explain. My mind is wired as a military man. And it maybe always will be. I tried therapy. Still wired the same way. I could pick up bits and pieces from each therapy session to fix it. But you get out, the VA only gives you a therapy session every 5 weeks. What are you going to do? You don't even have care. That's why I started my podcast. I had no one to talk to. Figured out. Just hop on and talk. I started doing these video journals, and then I said, you know what? Let me just hop on and talk to people. They listen if they don't. Who cares? And I ended up getting texts from old military buddies. Hey, man, listen to your podcast. Listen to this clip. And it's really helped me out. And I appreciate you standing up for this and standing up for us. And I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal here, but it's so hard for veterans to stand up for themselves and speak their mind and tell the world how they feel, because we think that, at least I thought, that people will, I don't know, look down on me for it. Bro, get over yourself. Rub some dirt in it. That's what a lot of people think. And that mindset is exactly what leads to so many veterans committing suicide. So for the everyday person, if you know someone's a veteran, understand that they're struggling with way more than you could ever imagine. And I'm not putting down everyday people. I know the trauma that goes on. I've talked to many people about their trauma. But the trauma you get in the military, because it's not only are you faced with near-death situations, now you're leaving everybody you know behind. And you got nobody to talk to about any of this. And I could talk to somebody who had an abusive father, but it doesn't match. There's a energy level that doesn't match, and the only way I get to match that is through another veteran, because I know for sure that they understand exactly what I went through. For the everyday person listening to this, understand that the veteran mind is constantly running and constantly thinking about the old times, the old buddies, re-enlisting, finding someone finding more the veteran mind is constantly wondering if they're doing the right thing, because we are trained. If we do the wrong thing, you're doing push-ups, you're getting paperwork written, you're getting pay deducted. If you do the wrong thing, you're in trouble, and people are dying because of you. I was told Rangers are dying while I'm working. People are constantly saying that Rangers are dying while I'm working, because if I don't work fast enough, Rangers could die. So I got out and I started thinking, if I'm not working fast enough, hard enough, quick enough, people will die. And that's how I started thinking about this mission to end veteran suicide, Saving 22. If I'm not working fast enough, if I'm not working hard enough, people are going to die. And that's the environment we thrive on, because that's what we're trained to thrive on. That's the veteran mind. I wish I could explain it in better terms, and maybe I'll try another video here in a month or two or something, but that's the best I can do. Constantly thinking if someone hates you just because they don't talk to you. When I am yelling, someone's yelling at me, do they want to? I don't even know how to explain it. Like, it's just, I don't know. In the veteran mind, you in the military, you rub some dirt on it. You get over it. You're overseas, dude. You got no time to think about if your upline hates you or if you did something wrong. If someone's yelling at you, you immediately assume you did something wrong. You got no time to even think about it. All right, I'll fix it. You get out, and now all you do is have time to think about it. That's all I did, was think about it for a year and a half. I don't know. It's weird. That's for sure. But hey, I got a website, endsuicide.us. Like, comment, and subscribe this video to support the mission. Head to endsuicide.us. You will see a shop that you could also go to and support the cause. Spread awareness. Veterans out there, man, hang in there. It will get better. It's hard to believe, but it will get better. You will learn to live with this. And I don't know, everyday people, just cut us veterans some slack if you could. That's what I would ask. That's what I would pray for. I would pray that all the veterans struggling against themselves, man, to reach out to me. I'd love to help you. Love to get you out of that mindset of struggling and trying to find something new. I'd love to help you find something new to work towards. If you want to help me with my mission, all aboard, baby. Let's get it. But yeah, I thank you all for tuning in. Check out more podcasts on this channel. Mind Over Matter podcast was on this, and we're starting the new one, Saving 22, awfully soon here. So be on the lookout for that. You will be able to view it on all streaming platforms. If you could leave me a review on the platforms, that will help raise awareness. It gets my podcast up to the top, and our mission together will be more successful. I appreciate everybody who stuck around this long to listen to me ramble about this and trying to understand the veteran mind. It's something that I'm going to constantly try and help people understand, because even myself, it's hard to understand. But the more I speak up about it, the more veteran lives saved, just through simple understanding. And that's a core belief here at Saving 22. So have faith, veterans, that it will get better. That's what I would say. Just have faith, brothers and sisters. Again, reach out if you need me. X will be in the description. Send me a DM. Shoot me a follow. Comment on one of my posts to follow back or whatever if my DMs aren't open, whatever that's like. And yeah, I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.